A South African documentary, Sisters of the Wilderness, will have its international premiere at the International Film Festival Rotterdam on the 26th of January 2019. Set in the Imfolozi Wilderness, South Africa, in the oldest game park in Africa, the iconic Hluhluwe-iMfolozi Park, Sisters of Wilderness tells the story of 5 young women venturing into the wilderness for the first time on a journey of healing and self-discovery, reminding people that we're all intimately linked to nature. I'm joined by the film's director, Karin Slater, via Skype. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Why did you centre this documentary around these 5 women?
Hi, Promise. We centred it around these 5 women because we wanted to take township girls into the wilderness and perhaps do a comparison. We want to do a comparison between what's happening in wilderness is happening to the women of this country. So we do a comparison with that.
Okay, and how difficult was it for the cast and crew to shoot this?
I was the crew, the one single member of the crew. I did the sound and all the cinematography. I did the directing, and then along with me was the producer from London, Renee Shapiro. And so that's how we did it. It was a small crew and 5 girls and 3 guides, and it took 7 days, but it's a 90-minute feature.
So the area where the documentary was shot is threatened by open-cast mining and rhino poaching as well. How do you bring that into the documentary?
Well, I had a hypothesis before I went that there was this link between wilderness and women, and that's like the Earth's always referred to as feminine. So I had a feeling that what's happening to women is probably happening to the Earth in the wilderness areas. So how we bring it in is slowly, as the women start to tell their stories and find some healing about being in the wilderness, we start to show some of the mining that's happening in the area and discuss the rhino situation. It's very subtle, but it's very hard-hitting. If people come out of there with a real punch, they really get the sense of, what you do to nature, we do to ourselves, and what we do to ourselves, we do to nature, that there is a connection between what's happening on the earth and what's happening in our own bodies.
Mm-hmm. And you're hoping that the documentary will serve as an outreach and audience engagement program. How?
So the idea is to try to get some discussion around mining and around poaching and to reconnect people, because a lot of the time fences are created around these parks. People don't have access. And Mfolozi was traditionally, a very sacred place to Zulus. King Sharka's hunting ground. It's always been a wilderness area, and Africa's always had wilderness ethics. And somehow the fences have stopped that, and we've lost that. So how to reconnect, and the outreach program is at the moment going into townships, traveling into schools, just to open some discussion around it.
So when you are traveling around the world with a film, do you take some of the people who are in it with you, or is the documentary what you take to show that this is what these people have been through?
A lot of the outreach programs are with the characters within the film because they're the best people. They experienced it themselves firsthand and had the transformation. So they're the ones who really are the best advocates for the work. So they travel to some of the festivals. Otherwise, it depends on who gets invited. A lot of these festivals, they want to speak either to the director or a producer or a character. They invite who they want to speak to. So, yeah. So it changes. This is the first international one. Oops. Sorry.
That's the joys of live TV. It's okay.
I don't know what happened there. Anyway. Yeah, so for this one, it'll be mainly the creative crew that are at this one, and we'll be raising some awareness and try and get some backpacks and walking shoes and stuff so that we can continue with the work here.
Okay, let's talk to us about these 5 young women who star in the film. Tell us a little bit about who they are and what their story is, why it's important to get it out.
They're ordinary women from townships. They were found by Renee Shapiro through some phone calls and contacts she had here. She got on the phone from London and found them. And there wasn't, we didn't know much about them before we left. I met them the day of the shoot, or the day before I met them at their homes, and then followed them from there. And so slowly, they just transform. Wilderness does amazing things when you let it into you. And there are many burdens that people carry in this country. There's a lot of abuse, there's a lot of violence and all over the place, and these traumas don't really find a place to be healed. And all of them said that they felt that they were able to let it go just with the amount of space there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you deal with people sharing trauma like what sounds like has come out during the filming afterwards? Do you get them psychological counseling? Do you make sure that they haven't just kind of opened up and then are let go to their own devices?
Yes. And so the idea was to have a year's program post the film shoot. So then after that we went to the Drakensberg, did some trails up there. We have people in Howick, in the area where the girls are from, that are a resource for them. They've been to nature conferences, and they have connections. They've opened into a network. Yeah. But it was my concern too. Yeah.
Thanks, Karin. Karin Slater,
how to support them afterwards. Yeah.
My apologies, there seems to be a delay between our Skype interview and your answers, but that was the film's director, Karin Slater, giving us an insight into the documentary that's premiering internationally. It's time for a short break. We'll have your sports and economics news after that. Do stay with us.